It's Thursday, October the 5th. It actually happens to be my birthday as well. So it's nice to have all of you on my birthday. Thank you for coming. Maybe you guys can stick around for some coffee and cake after, right? What do you think? We're going to start with the module first. I'm going to go right into the Photoshop segments, and then we're going to talk about what's happening next. This is, thank you for the little gestures, everyone. I saw those. Appreciate it. Since we don't have the chat here, that's fine. I know you guys all wishing me happy birthday. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's that time of the year, just they go faster and faster sometimes. So we're gonna go right into the Blackboard module, and we're gonna talk about just basically where we're at right now. I got the chance to meet some of you yesterday, as I mentioned. It was nice to see you in person. Some of you extended a little frustration on the way the things are going, like projects and due dates and stuff. So maybe what I'll do is I'll extend a bigger project. I also just assigned it to you recently, so I think it's only fair because the way the term has been moving a little faster, so it happens in the fall that way. So what I'm gonna do is basically maybe give you a slight extension on the project. So if we go to the actual project here, like the main project, the movie poster, I think it's due like next week, like October the 12th. What I'm going to do is extend it till the end of the week, so you have like an extra few days, right? So this happens to be like on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'll have it due Sunday on the 15th, so you have an extra 3 days. How's that sound? Okay. And I'll extend the time also till like midnight, like 11:59 p.m. Okay, so you have some extra time to finish that assignment. So I hope that helps you out. Okay, I know you have a lot of things on your plate. For my class, I try not to give you too many things every week. I mean, it's every other week I have to have some kind of an assignment. Yeah.
Is that 11:55 or 11:59?
11:55. The 4 minutes make a difference. I like to do 5. You know why? Sometimes it resets to 12 when I do 9. So that's just why. But here I'll do 8. I'll do as much as I can. And let's try 9 even. 11:59. There you go. Okay, right before midnight. Even if it's past midnight, okay. If it's within the hour, it's fine. I mean, I can definitely, let it go. It's not a big deal. But I hope that extra, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you get an extra 3 days. It'll help you out with this movie poster. All right. Once you get going with this, it shouldn't take you that long to finish. Okay. It's a very creative design piece of work that you're going to be doing. You can do any poster you like. You can do, doesn't have to be a movie. I just have to title it something. So I titled it movie poster because most students do create a movie poster. But if you have an event or some kind of other things that's happening, like the TIFF festival, for example, was earlier last month. A lot of students were doing something for the TIFF. The Pan Am Games, I remember in the past, we had the Olympics, we had the World Cup, we had so many different events that happen here and abroad. So if you want to partake in something like that and make a poster out of an event or like an event poster, I don't mind as long as you follow the criteria here, which is minimum of 5 different image sources. That's minimum, so you can go maximum of up to 15 if you like, right? Technical uses like clipping masks, layer masks, quick masks. We're going to cover some of these today. Clipping masks is something we'll cover today. Layer masks is something we'll cover today. So we're going to cover these topics today with exercises that I have. Quick masks we did already in the past few weeks with selections and quick masks, like a combination of the two. Other suggested items include, like, if you want to use symbols and layer styles and effects. Okay. These are symbols from Illustrator if you want to like save symbols and bring other things, but maybe I should change the terminology of this and we'll just keep it layer styles and effects. And just sometimes this just confuses people. Let me just take that out right now. Vector objects. That means you could bring in a title from Illustrator. You could bring in some vector shapes that you've done. Some people like to do vector art, so you can definitely amalgamate the vector art with your Photoshop montage and composition if you bring it in. I can show you how to bring in Illustrator into Photoshop and back and forth. The programs work well together. You just have to be very careful with the way sometimes you orchestrate the file transfer back and forth. Yeah, so the color mode is going to be CMYK. We can always convert that later to RGB. If you're going to do a poster for Netflix and there's like a show coming up or something, we can always switch that around. Just because the main goal here is to teach you how to set up a print in position artwork, and we're going to also take it the next step and show you how. I'll teach you a little bit of pre-press, since that's in my wheelhouse. I've done a lot of that stuff in my past as well. We're definitely gonna look at the different printing aspects of getting this for press or print ready. Resolution is 300 dpi. You don't want to go less than that, especially when it's for print. Some of you reached out to me, I believe was earlier this week, and your file size was greater than 250 megabytes. My suggestion was to lower this down to maybe 200, even 150. Now, if you do that, keep a 300 copy for yourself, because the file size does get quite large. So perhaps keep a 300 copy, and just if it's too big to hand it in, bring it out to 150. Tell me why you did that, and I can completely understand. I'm not going to penalize you, but this will definitely help the file size overall. So if your file size it's like 300 megabytes and you lower it to like 150, it might be just that much more or less. Maybe a little bit like 100 megabytes or something. You can also use other software like WeTransfer. WeTransfer is a free platform that what happens is you can transfer large files over the internet. You can also use Dropbox and Gmail and these other ones, but this one used to be file transfer. Now it's called WeTransfer. I already have an account with these people, so you can just upload a file up to 2 gigabytes free. So you can do lots of like large file transfers. You just have to put the recipient's email. In this case, it'll be me. So you're going to put Milorad Eftosky at humber.ca, right? That's what you're going to type in there. So you're going to send it to me, and you're going to put your email. You might have to register for this, like make an account. It's free. And then put your title here, which will be like the movie poster, and maybe type me a quick message. This is only if your file size is too big. Honestly, I'd rather you submit your movie poster here. So I don't want to see like nothing here. So even though you're doing this, I still want you to give me something here, because if you don't give me nothing here and I miss this part, it won't validate your assignment being handed in on time. So I strongly suggest you hand it in. Even if it's too big, I'll show you how to make a PDF, like at least a low res version, just for submission purposes. If you want to give me the original file and it's too big, in that case, you can use this in combination or in addition to this. Okay, so it's both. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Talent House is no longer in session, so you can find other creative websites and stuff if they do some movie poster competitions or movie poster events. Movie poster competition 2023. I wonder what comes up here. There we go. Poster competitions, shows. So there's some websites here. You can use Poster Territories One, international poster competitions. Okay, there's a lot of things that are happening all the time. I try to stay on top of this stuff, but if you miss 1 or 2 seasons, sometimes you can see different things. So free, there's students, there's different options here. I think you have to make an account or something like that. No, this is you have to attend, I guess, the seminar. This is not a good place. But if you find online, maybe I should be more specific with my search. Type in online poster submission competition. Like, do your research, okay? I'm not gonna do it for you. I want you to do that part. If you want, you don't have to. You don't have to. So you can just follow the project guidelines and just keep it simple, okay? That's just some extra stuff if you want to get more involved with the community. Now, the file management. This is one I mentioned earlier, Photoshop to PDF. This is if the file size is too big. So you can convert it to PDF. It'll definitely drastically reduce the file size. If you flatten it, I won't see your layers. So I do prefer you send me your layered version through WeTransfer, just so I can get it. And put your name, please. Don't just assume I know your nickname or the N number that's associated with your Humber account. put your full name on the file or the folder that's being zipped so I can see your stuff, okay? All right, so now that we've covered that territory, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, my birds are making a lot of noise in the background too. So now that we covered that important part of the assignment or the project, I should say, I hope that gives you a little more flexibility and extended timeline to get this done. All right, and don't overthink it. Just have fun, okay? It's just a poster project. All right, the next one's the book cover. It's hidden, you can't see it, but that's after the next half. We're going to create a book cover project as well. These are very popular. Another print project that you're going to be working on, because this semester you're going to be focusing mostly on print. That's why we're giving you kind of like print assignments. But not to mention, we're going to move to the web segment after the half of the semester. So after this book project, we do web stuff in Photoshop as well. So we're going to cover both. All right. Now, I know there's some class assignments as well. There's another one here. I'm going to give you this one as well today. So it's the advanced composition assignment. This one you can do in today's class. Okay, this is due next week. So for this one, you can also just keep it very simple. It's one of those little assignments. There's only 5 total for the whole semester. So once we get this one out of the way, there's only 2 left for the whole semester. Okay, so you're going to have only 2 assignments and maybe 1 big project left. That's it. And of course, there's the composite assignment with the other teachers, okay? Alrighty, so these are the 3 things, and I think we're good to go now. Let's go to the class modules. Okay, so it's good that for now we know the link is still there. So today, or last week, we finished the exercises in lesson 4. There's the video link for this. We do record every lesson just to help you keep up with everything that's happening. We did do layers in depth last week, so we did do quite a bit of layer exportation and different things with layer, exploring different aspects of layer. So we're gonna now move on to layers continued. It's the more advanced part of using layers. I have here, it's called a deserted island exercise, a great way to review some of the segments we covered. I'll make that visible to you so you can see what it is. We get to create our very own island today with all the beautiful structures from all over the world, all the architecture. But that's more like a free fall assignment after we're done. This is, it's like an extra, really. But the main thing is the exercises that we followed up from last week, which is the resources here. So make sure if you missed this part, download layers and selections, okay? And you're downloading the layers zip file. This is very important because this is the file that we're going to continue working with today. Because I have these things prepared for us, so it's easier to demonstrate these specific techniques like layer masks and layer clippings. And these lesson files that I have here cover that really, really well. And in combination, you have other tutorials I'm sure you can watch online and other online resources. But the stuff I'm showing you here is like really, really comprehensive and easy to learn. And of course, we're doing it together here. So it's definitely a win-win. So get this file here, downloaded. This one we finished. This was the beginning content folder for the first, I guess, 3 weeks that we had. For the next 3 weeks, we're going to use this one. Okay, so today we should like wrap this up, but next week we're going to get into other stuff. So download this file here, layers.zip. I already have it downloaded from last week. I'm just going to open it up. Alrighty, so I'm gonna just go back to my Photoshop folder here. So there's class 4 where we left off. And here I have the layers folder, the same one I just instructed you to download if you haven't. Just to recap what we did quickly last week, we covered the different blend modes, okay, how to do different blend modes for different image compositions. So this was a good little exercise to utilize. I think we even did a different logo. Most logos have a white background. So do you remember what blend mode works on white background to superimpose it on any type of merchandising product or marketing tool? What blend mode did we use? Let's see. Do a quick little recap.
We used
Anyone?
multiply and screen.
Multiply, very good. So we used the multiply one for the white logo. Yes. Screen, on the other hand, was for like the dark. So if this had like a black background, the screen would knock out the black. All right. So basically, the screen knocks out the dark colors and multiply blends the white colors. I mean, they both work in different combinations, but those are the main two. And the hard light was another demonstration of a creative type of amalgamation of blend modes and effects, which we used for this one, right? We also covered some more advanced layer effects and layer styles by using this exercise here. We did the glow on the planet, and then we did the drop shadow on the title of the movie. So this was like a movie poster on its own, I guess. We also looked at different size aspects and ratios for movie posters. This one is 11 by 17, which means you can print it, and most standard printers, if you have a printer at home, chances are if you go to Staples and you buy 11 by 17 paper, you might print it on that. You'll be fine. Just don't take my word for it. Make sure the printer can handle it first. Then we did some emboss effect, so we can actually take letters out from textures and convert the texture to match the text layer for that. Photoshop is really built to do this kind of stuff, so you can really take advantage of its capabilities. I even compared it to like Firefly and some of the other advanced AI software out there, even Adobe Max and stuff. They can do some cool stuff with type, which I'll show you later on. But Photoshop still is supreme when it comes to extracting exactly the textured selected area from this. So watch last week's lesson because I cover that in depth. And of course, I have the written tutorial and kind of like a handout. I used to print this and give it to my students when we did the exercise in the classroom. Not necessary now because you can read it here, you can watch my video, and you can do it with me. All right, so today we're going to enter layer masks, okay? So layer masks, these are miscellaneous folders like content aware scaling and stuff. You can do this on your own. This is not going to be included in my lecture of showing you, but it's just very similar to what we did with the other. If you remember, there was the bridal party in the water. Remember we did the, we made an alpha channel of a selection. So when we went to constrain the actual image, right? Or we did content aware scale. It worked really well. Same kind of premise on this one here. Smart objects. Let me just cover these miscellaneous things easily. Smart objects is just another way to work with Photoshop and know how to align the different registrations. I guess I can show you this part here. I'll do it like in a more simplistic method, and then editing and creating the smart object as well, okay? Okay, so here we go. So let me just double click on this file and open it up to show you the difference. Also, make sure you keep up to date with your Photoshop version. So if you download the latest Photoshop file, you should be good with that as well. All right, so this has an array of different things that we have here. Just gotta double click. So we have the two logos. So notice how one has a little thumbnail here on the bottom. The other one doesn't have a thumbnail. That means this is a rasterized layer, and this is a smart object layer, okay? So that what that means is this is, I guess the word would be non-destructive, and this is destructive. That means I can scale this as many times as I want, and it won't lose any quality. Whereas this one, if I scale it back and forth, it will definitely lose its original quality. This is just items that were, I guess, what's this one here? The merchandise. Make me smart. So you want to convert this into a smart object. I'll show you how to do that as well. Okay, so let's first explain the basics here so you understand what this is. It's important. I'm not going to update the new version available now. so that's fine. So why consider this difference? What's the difference between this one and this one, right? So what's happening here? So again, if you look closely, this first one is just this is the original Apple logo. I remember when I first bought my Mac, this was the logo that I got with it. It was the Performa 6320. I remember now. And it was like 1997, I think I bought my first Mac. And what happened was it was cool actually. I had a little cable thing so you can watch TV on it and you can do lots of other cool things. The internet was just flourishing at that time. So we had like a nice 28 kilobyte modem. And, it's funny how things changed from that then till now. It was like 30 years ago. So now you have, obviously the logo is different. It's more simplistic. It doesn't have the rainbow colors anymore. But if you were to resize this logo here, again, I'm showing you this example. I'm going to press Command or Control T on your computer. You can just watch me do this. You don't have to do anything with me. Just watch this part. So I'm going to scale it like this small because maybe I want to perhaps use this logo on one of those, merchandise items that I had. I might want to put it on a t-shirt or something like that, right? Let's just say I want to scale it for that specific reason. I might even go smaller even. Let's just say I go there and pretend I was going to put it in this position here that the other one was, or somewhere else. Maybe I want to duplicate the logo and do other things with it, right? So for mock-up purposes, I reduced the size of this logo. Well, let's say some time goes by right now, like a week from now, and they ask me to increase the size of the same logo that I just decreased and maybe use it for something else, like maybe one of these snowboards or boards or whatever, right? So if I press Command T again, which again, I'm just going to edit free transform by pressing this Command T option. So let's say I was to do that and just, let's say I was to resize the logo back to large again, right? And I press Enter. Well, notice what happened. It lost its quality. And that's why it's called destructive layer positioning, or when it's rasterized, it's a destructive layer, which means if I do, and JPEG does it too. If you keep saving JPEGs over and over, it's a lossy compression, right? So if I do this again, press Enter, Command T, 2 weeks go by, I keep doing this from time to time, and this passes on to other designers and studios and computers and files. This file can get passed around to different people. Basically, this is what can happen. So it's going to get worse eventually, but you can see my point. Like, it's really blurry. It's really not good at this point. Whereas if you have a smart object like this other apple, let's compare apples, okay? So this other apple is much more clear. Where this one used to be like that. It used to look exactly like this one. The difference is I scaled this 2-3 times, and this is the result. So you have to know how to, as a professional, know how to do this without losing quality, and when to have a smart object, when to have a rasterized object. So I'm just going to go to File, Revert, just to revert the file, because that's the best thing I can do right now is revert to the original. Because I want to show you why you might want to rasterize them. Like, there's pros and cons to both of these. So the pros and cons, now, scalability is the big one. Because if I take this other one here, notice how it has a little smart object icon. This one I can, and the handout that I'm kind of giving you here, it teaches you how to select different anchor options here, okay? That means I'm going to show you how that works. It's telling me to link it, and I can use the properties, or I can show you Command T. I'm using kind of both options to explain this better. So let me show you exactly what they're talking about. All right, so show transform controls. Okay, I'm going to do this one here. Let me just make this a little bigger. Press escape. The anchor is no. Let me just press Command T. Huh. Trying to get the options to show up. It's weird. It's not showing up here. All right. Well, anyways, if I press Command T, you can see how by default it has this. There we go. Okay, so before there wasn't a check mark. So when you do Command T or transform, and I'm doing the actual the non-destructive layer, which is the smart object. So this is the difference between a smart object and a regular object. So being smart, this object here, by default, it scales from the corner, right? You can scale from this corner, it does the corners nicely. You can even grab the top, like it kind of keeps the format. You don't have to hold shift, because if you hold shift, then you're stretching it, right? So be careful not to hold shift when you don't need to. What I was kind of alluding to here was this part here. If you check this option on, you can anchor what scale position you want on the registration point, or reference point, I should say. So the reference point location, let's say I allocate it to the top left corner and I scale it, okay? I think you have to do it this way. So the width and height, make sure this is locked, so this way the proportions remain. So if I make it 20%, this also becomes 20%. So you can do a numerical scale with percentage. So if I press enter right now, this logo is scaled to 20%, right? That's if you have to do that, right? If I press Command or Control T, you can use percentages. Let's go back to 100% with the original. I just put it back the way it was. So 100%, there we go. Notice how nothing deteriorated, no quality, nothing. That's because it's a smart object, right? So if I do Command T, let me just do it freehand right now that I showed you the technical stuff. So I'm going to resize it like that big, right? Press enter. I open this file next week, 2 weeks from now, give it to somebody else. They open the file, they do some, designing and maneuvering. As soon as they press Command T and they resize it again, nothing happens. Whereas this one, you saw what happened. If it loses quality, even if you do it like once, and then you do twice. So the reason why this happens is because this is not a smart object and this one is. So how do you convert something to a smart object so you don't lose quality? What you do is this is a exercise here you can use. There's an Apple logo that's not converted into a smart object. What you do is you right click and you can convert this to a smart object. So please maybe make a note of this, write it down if you want to remember, because even the layer says make me smart. That means if you right click, convert it to smart object, this little thumbnail shows up. That means this is now non-destructive, which means you can scale it smaller, press enter, scale it larger, press enter, no quality is lost. The downfall for this is you can't use the magic wand, click on this green and just press delete. It's not, because you can't edit smart objects. You can scale them, you can move them, you can resize them, but you can't really edit them like this, okay? So if I press OK, it doesn't let you do it, okay? Whereas if you do it on this one here, and it's not a smart object, like this one here, let me just go to File, Revert again. So revert it back to normal. So this is not a smart object. The benefit of having a rasterized logo. So here's the thing, you can keep this rasterized. Just don't do what I did. Don't resize it smaller, larger, smaller, larger. If you don't have to do that, you don't really even have to make smart objects. But the point is you have to know that they exist and you have to know how to use them when the time comes. So this way you're gonna scale this different items Could be like an object or not necessarily a logo. Could be anything, right? So you have to know how to control scalability, destructive or non-destructive. So again, here's the, if I go to this one and I click on this little green leaf for the apple or stem, delete. Let's say I want to delete the orange. Let's say I want to delete the purple, right? I can edit this quite easily because it's a rasterized layer. The smart object, although it's scalable and non-destructive, I can't edit it. It won't let me. So that's the main difference. So if you want to edit this and you're fine with the size, you're not going to scale it back and forth, you can convert this to a rasterized layer. So now it's no longer a smart object, which means you can edit it just like I edited this one on the right. You can just delete this color. Let me just hide this option here. You can delete the red, the blue, right? So I want you to be able to have the ability to know how to go back and forth and know what this is, because it's an important part of Photoshop to know how to have the smart object and not to have a smart object. Okay, so I hope this demonstration was clear and concise with everything I showed you, and keep that in mind next time you place images into Photoshop, because this is what happens when you go file, place. When you place images in the software, right? And I'm going to cover this later today. The difference is embedded or linked. Linked means you're linking it to an external source, which means if you lose that source, it might affect your file. Then embedded means whatever you're linking or bringing to Photoshop, it becomes part of the document that you're working on. So this is a much better choice, this one. Like I would say 90% of the time you should stick with this. Very rarely you should consider linked, because then it becomes a problem. It's like InDesign, when it places images, then you have to have those images linked in a folder somewhere. Otherwise it'll compromise your file structure, whatever is you're making, a brochure, a catalog, a magazine. Photoshop has the option to do both. So even originally, if I was to teach you Photoshop like 10 years ago, let's say, these weren't even existing. There was only place. So there was no embedded or linked. There was just place. And place meant embedded. So linked wasn't even an option 10 years ago, okay? Just to kind of keep it in a nutshell. So stick with embedded and you'll be fine, okay? Unless it's like, so you're doing like a large format something, then that's fine. Let me go to, I'll go to the fall folder here, web production. I'll go to the Photoshop class, actually. Class 4. Let me bring this picture here, this wood texture we did last week. So as soon as I place something into the Photoshop software, I place it as linked, right? And I resize it, press enter. It's linked, sorry, it's a smart object by default, okay? So this is embedded into the software now. It's part of the file. It's a smart object. That means I can, resize it, no problem, back and forth. And things like backgrounds, you don't have to rasterize them. Just keep them the way they are. You're not going to go and edit this. You're not going to go and make a whole, do like a frame. Let's say you want to do like a nice frame for your presentation, and you want to delete this. Well, it won't let you because it's a smart object. But now that I'm happy with the size and I want to cut a hole through this, so I have like a nice frame of my presentation, I can then right click, I can rasterize this, rasterize layer. Now that it's rasterized, it's no longer a smart object. Then I can just press delete and have like a nice frame, visible in my presentation. So maybe that's the purpose why you might want to rasterize the layer before you delete parts of the layer, if you follow me, okay? All right, so enough with that. Any questions before I continue with the other exercises now? Because this was an important one. I didn't want to skip this one and just let you do it on your own. All right, so any questions, anyone? Going once, going twice. Just let me know, raise your hand. You can keep in thing here. Let's see here. All right, so I can see everybody here. All right, everyone's good. Let's continue. So now we're going to open up the other file that I have in store for you. So if you click on the Photoshop folder, so I'm class 4. What I'm going to do is copy this layers folder outside because it's something that we're going to use for the other classes as well. And I'm going to, just for reminder purposes, take the blend modes and the effects folders and bring them into my class 4 because that's what we covered in that last week. And this week I'm going to rename this class 5, which will be the remainder of whatever here that we have to cover as well. And like I said, these are more like the miscellaneous ones, okay? These are the main files that we're going to be covering. Image size. Let's quickly ding this one as well. So this is resampling, is changing the amount of image data that you change, either the pixel dimensions or the resolution of an image. Again, very important things to consider when using images. It doesn't have to be only Photoshop. It could be InDesign, it could be Illustrator. You still have to consider what resampling means, okay? So it's decrease the number of pixels as information is deleted from the image. When you resample or increase the number of pixels or unsample, new pixels are added, okay? So you specify an interpolation method to determine how pixels are added or deleted. Keep in mind the resampling can result in poor image quality, okay? Just like we did with very similar to the logo I scaled manually with transform. Same thing happens when you increase the size of an image. You're resulting in a poor quality because those pixels don't exist. You're manifesting pixels that are not really there. So it's really hard to, make a low resolution photo a high resolution photo. Now, this is a breakthrough with AI because I see a lot of tools out there that can part of like help out with this type of resampling problem that we had with images. However, it's still in the works and eventually we'll get there. But keep in mind, this is why your phones all have a 16 gigabyte or megapixel camera. And a lot of these other cameras or professional photographers have these very expensive cameras for the reason to take good photography. So good quality pictures. This is what it's about. So you make sure all your quality of images are high resolution. Okay, that's why you get to good resolution images to contribute to your high resolution output or design. So this is just an example how you can see the difference. We're going to open this file here. It's a JPEG. We're going to go to change the resolution to 300 and 100. Right. You can even do this. Press the space bar. This is the low res. This is the high res image. So one is a lot more, they're both clear, but this one's bigger in size. Okay, so if we right click, open this with Photoshop. And we do the same thing with this one. I think I was running beta the whole time. Oh, brother. Okay, I'll just quit my beta version. The beta version came out before this one, so sometimes although I selected the option to delete the beta version once I'm using the new version, it's still kind of remembering that. So I'm just gonna close down my Photoshop beta. I try to test out the new versions of Photoshop before they come out. Teaching this stuff, you have to be on top of your game. So I'm always trying to stay ahead of the new versions when they release them. So I use the beta version to see what's new in comparison to the older version. This is why we kind of know the difference and stuff. All right, so now I'm opening the right Photoshop here. So this is the low res. Look at this, okay? 100% means the actual size of this image. Okay. This one's at 33%. That means that this is not the actual size. If you press Command 1, Command 1 or Control 1 on your keyboard gives you 100% view. If you press Control 1 here, 100% view. You can obviously see the difference between this image and this image. Why is this one so much smaller than this one? This is important because when you're getting images from the internet, you want to make sure you get the most pixels as possible. So if I go to this smaller one, and let's see what the resampling size is. If I go to image size, you can see here this is only 30 pixels per inch. So it's really small. And the width is 400 pixels by 307 pixels. If I make this 300 pixels, I'm just adding an extra 0 on the 1000 and the 3000 to compensate for the resolution. So I'm upsampling this image right now. This is not a good idea, but I'm doing it to show you. So I'm making it 300. And this is the result. This is what you get on the internet. So when you zoom in, most pictures on the internet, they get blurry and fuzzy. That's because they're resampled and they're resized and stuff. If you zoom out, or if you like the thing about the internet pictures, if you make them small enough, like if I go to image size and I don't really care if it's 4,000 pixels, because realistically it was 400 pixels. So like 410 by 307. Even though this is 300, it's still gonna be this pixel ratio. So this really doesn't quantify unless it's maybe inches. It makes more sense. Then you can see how the resolution works better. But if I do this, it is what it is, right? Even if I press Command 1, right? So it doesn't matter if it's 30 or 300, the resolution is basically the same. Okay, so let me just kind of go back here, make this 30, see? And keep this 0. Oh, 410, 307, 30. See, nothing really happened because it was that to begin with. So again, make sure the resolution is always optimal. The size is always as big as possible. When you search images on the internet, I know some of you are using, let's say you're Googling images, right? So you're gonna go to Google and look for, I don't know, snow mountain. And you go to images. And then you want to select under tools over here, the size. You can go to large size. You can get a beautiful picture with images and stuff with the search criteria. So all these images are supposed to be in the thousands of pixels because that's what I set up to be. All right, so go ahead. If you look for beautiful background images, you can definitely use stuff from Google. Okay, you can even go to the other free websites that I gave you, like Pixabay and Pexels, and do that. And not to mention, you can generate some of this stuff with the new version of Photoshop. So let's say I'm looking for some snow mountain. Okay, so first I'm gonna just close this one down. This is the good quality photo. So the reason why this is so good is because if you go to image size, the resampling for this one is, see, it's 300 pixels and it's 4,000 pixels. That means if you obtain a large file from the get-go or from the beginning, you are going to end up with a lot better position in your quality. So don't get a small image and make it big because it's going to resample to a poor quality result. Okay. If you get a high quality image, you can go down. Like you could make this smaller. I can make this, 400 pixels by 300 pixels at 300. But the problem is if you do this, you just resample this image to the other one. Like you made it small now. You can't go back and say, oh, I changed my mind. I'm going to go back and make it 4,000 pixels by 3,000 pixels. You just messed it up, you see. Now you're just kind of working backwards. You can't reverse engineer the pixels. Okay, so keep them at their highest potential. Don't go, that's why I did the other example, the resizing, small, big, small, big. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so you have to keep it always intact, regardless of the position here. Okay, so make sure the resolution is always high. And if you want to make something smaller, keep a copy of the high resolution image. So I would like save a copy and keep this high resolution always intact. always mess around with the copied version or a second version if you have, okay? So just bear that in mind. All right, let's see now with some of this other stuff we can do. I can make a new document right now. Let's say you're doing a movie poster as you guys are doing this next project. So I'm going to go to inches. This is how you start your project to make sure you have optimal quality. You're going to go to print. Okay, there's your print settings in Photoshop. You're going to go to tabloid because that's what the poster is. I specifically made it to match this criteria here. It's 11 inches in width, 17 inches in height. Most posters are vertical. Sorry, yeah, vertical, like portrait. Unless you're doing something for, even Netflix and stuff, I'm sure they can print posters and still put them on billboards. So stick with this one. Don't do landscape because it's just not going to work. Okay, so always stick with portrait. Resolution is 300. I'm going to go to CMYK color mode. All right, I'm going to keep the background white. I'm going to press OK. And this is how you start your poster. And I did something like this last week. So just a quick little recap. So Command 1, Command 0 to see everything there. All right. Now, because I have this resolution set up and I'm good to get started, what I'm going to do now is basically add some of my background here. So watch this. I'm going to use a selection tool. I'm going to select a good portion of this image here like that. And if you have the latest Photoshop, you could use the new contextual bar that's here. And you can definitely generate some nice stuff with AI. Let's just try it out. Snow mountain. Okay, let's see. Let's generate that. Photoshop's able to generate its snow mountain for us right now. I've tested this. It works okay. It's not perfect. I mean, you're still better at getting images and sources from the internet, and you can amalgamate it with this, but it's not bad, you see. And I can have this mountain, or that mountain. So it's pretty good. I can generate more results if I wish. All right. The beauty is this. If you zoom in, right, the quality is not bad, but it's not great either. So you have to be careful with your resolution. Okay. All right. So it's not that bad, the quality. So just be careful. Okay. I'd much rather, if I go to, let's say, Google, let's just compare the two. And I get this picture here. I'm going to save this image of the snow mountain. I'll save it on the desktop. And that's from Pexels, by the way. Although I Googled this image, it's still from the Pexels resource website. So if you want to do, if you want to cite your references, you can definitely do that when you submit the file. Tell me where the images are from, just to keep things on the right way of delivery. Give me like a text document or something like that. It's fine. Or you can just put it in the comments when you submit it. And just reference your images if they're from Pexels or Google, just so I know and you know the proper protocol in doing this. I'm going to go File, Place, Embedded, always. Go to the desktop and select my Google or Pexels image that I got from Google. All right, I'm just going to make this the same size as this one. Press Enter. So one image I generated with AI, the other one I used from Google. As you can see, the Google image from Pexels is a lot more clear, right? You see that? It's a lot more clear because it's a real photography image. This is AI. I mean, it's okay, but some of the stuff I've seen with AI, it's pretty remarkable what it can do. It's only getting better. So to be honest with you, it's a little less quality, but it's passable. Like you can definitely use it. Okay, it'll pass for the actual. If you want to use a background or something, that's fine. You can definitely get away with it. Okay, but the image is a lot better if you can obtain some nice quality. I mean, if you zoom in, look, pixels are still pixels, right? You're still going to get pixels regardless, so that's why. All right, so this is how you can start a movie poster again, keeping those dimensions in sight and 11 by 17. All right, let me put this away. Or maybe I'll leave it and I'll continue with the movie poster if you have any questions on setting things up and stuff, because I'll show you some other things you can add. All right, let's move on forward now with this class 5. We cover all the miscellaneous stuff. which is the smart object and the image size. This other stuff was covered in the previous week. Maybe I'll move this folder here as well. So just like an exercise folder. And the preference tour, again, it's miscellaneous. It's not even, it's an older version anyway. So the preferences change every time there's a new version of Photoshop. And I think that's it. So this is what we covered today, basically. And content aware scaling, we did this like 2 weeks ago. So don't worry about this. If you want to go through it, that's fine. Not that important. Let's get to the real important stuff now. So first, layer masks. So let's open this folder up. You can watch me and do this. You can do it later if you like. I'm going to open this up. What you want to do this one, if you do it with me, you get to finish the assignment that's due next week. So you can like get this done today, doing it with me right now. This is the follow-up assignment exercise. So after I finish this one, I'm going to do that one. I'll remind you again to do it with me so you can finish it. And I'm not going to finish it with you, but I'll show you the steps and you can do it all yourself. Okay, so let's open this one here. So you can just watch me do this next part. All right. I don't have my coffee yet. Sometimes I get a coffee and I just kind of keep it around me and take a few sips when I need to. And it's more like a psychological thing that you just have a coffee beside you sometimes. All right. So let's start with this one here. This is your steps in the handouts. What's layer mask? Well, layer mask is a way that Photoshop integrates in a combination of a selected area that's see-through to preserve the layer original pixel information. So basically, you can use masks to hide portions of a layer and reveal portions of the layer below. White on a mask layer will reveal content on that layer. If you have black on the mask layer, it'll hide contents from the layer. So black will hide the portions of the pixels of the layer, and the white will reveal the pixels of the portions of the layer. And this is important to note because you're going to use a brush method to determine all this. So we're going to do the first one here. The second one is this one here. I think it's a picture of the Donald Trump thumbnail. The third one is the fish frog. And the fourth one would be the little sunflower thumbnail here. So that's what the four files are. I'm going to go through them right now. You can just watch me do this, okay? And the next one that we'll do it together, okay? This way we'll speed up the process a little bit. So like I said, this basically captures all the steps as I like to give you these methods. And the other one is, we'll do it together. So let's open this up. This is a very quick way to demonstrate how layer masks work. You have one image on top of the background. What's this now? The beta version again? All right, those are the original guys that made up the software. I'm running two Photoshops here. Let me just open it again. All right, it's in the beta version. Just gonna quit. I should just uninstall this one. After I'm done the class, I'll do that. All right, let's open it with Photoshop 2024. All right, so this is the first file. You can see here we have two layers. We have a layer of a chopper helicopter. It's a military helicopter vehicle. And this is the actual background, right? So if you notice, there's a sign here saying speed limit enforced by aircraft. That means, I don't know if you guys have got a speeding ticket before. I've gotten a few myself in the past, but I've never ever got pulled over by a helicopter. So this is a very sensitive area somewhere, maybe in the United States perhaps, and they have helicopters pulling people over if they're going too fast. I know I've seen like aircraft radars in Toronto or in the northern region. It says patrolled by aircraft. It rarely happens, but they do have it, right? So the goal is to hide this helicopter behind the bushes so the cars can't see it. So when the cars are driving, the helicopter will just come out from nowhere and, you know, tell people to slow down and stuff. Quite the draconian measuring act here with this helicopter stuff, but that's how, I guess, this, just to add some fun to the game, right? So let's hide this helicopter behind the bushes. The best way to do that is to use the mask method. So the mask method means we're going to make these trees, basically. It's like having these trees on a separate layer, these bushes, having the helicopter in between, and having the background in the back. So that's basically put in 3 layers as opposed to 2 layers. But because we're using layer masking, we could orchestrate the layer masks to work in our favor to kind of give us the same illusion that it's behind the trees. So in a way, we don't have to really cut the trees in a separate layer and put on top of the helicopter and put the helicopter between the 3 layers to have that effect. We're going to just use a layer mask technique to make that possible, okay? So the way we're going to do that is we're going to right-click on the layer, all right? And we're going to do so layer mask here. You know what I'd rather do here? I'd rather do the menu just to kind of keep it easier. Select the layer. Another favorite thing I like to do is make this smaller here. There we go. Right. See these little buttons down here? This is my go-to. So this middle one, that's how you do a layer mask. If you click on it, it'll just do a layer mask. Oh, there's a little puppy in a video about it too.
A layer mask allows you to hide parts of your image and then bring them back visible at any time. They can be thought of as a smart eraser that gives you full access to anything you removed from the image. Image information will never be lost or deleted if you use a layer mask properly. Masks allow the opportunity to make powerful edits with the flexibility to change them later. Masks appear next to the layers in the Layers tab. To make adjustments, be sure to click on the layer mask. Then paint black on areas you want to hide and white to reveal them again. To cut something out, start by making a selection of the object. Then click on the layer mask icon in the Layers panel to cut it out from its background. Layer masks are also great for editing specific parts of an image, like adjusting color or exposure.
That was a nice quick little video just to kind of summarize how layer masks work. You can see the potential. It's quite amazing, right? So let's do it. I'm going to do in this helicopter here. The video pointed to click on this button. It prompted the video, which I just played. But if you just click on that button, it'll just make the layer mask right off the bat. Another thing is you can go to the layer menu, just so I can point out 2 ways to access this area. You can go to the layer mask and you can do reveal or hide. Reveal is the default one, so just stick with that one for now. Hide means it'll be black instead of white. So just go to reveal all. It's the same thing as clicking that little button I just showed you earlier. You'll notice a second thumbnail appear beside the original thumbnail. That means this layer has a layer mask on it. Clear indication that that's the case. What that means is you can zoom in now, right? Zoom into the target. And you can make sure you have this black and white. You can press D for default. Let me just review the default shortcut again. Let's say I use the red. What mode is this? Well, I'm in the layer mask mode. Let me click on this thumbnail for a second. Let's say I used a yellow and my background color was like red, right? So I got red and yellow here, right? Even whatever color you have, doesn't matter. If you press D on the keyboard, D is default. It'll always bring you back to black and white. This shortcut works in Illustrator as well. It'll give you the white fill with the black stroke. InDesign, all the Adobe software. D means default, okay? Just remember that. And you can reset this back to default. And now that means if I click on the layer mask, I gotta pay attention to, let me press D again. So D for default, I gotta use white, okay, or black as an adding or a subtractive element from the mask. So don't forget, we're creating this illusion that the helicopter's hiding behind the trees. Well, almost hiding. We're gonna have a part of it showing, so it kind of has a nice effect, like it's hiding like that. So we're gonna go use a brush tool. So the art of creating masks is using brushes. Brushes is a great way, just like quick masks. Brushes can also make layer masks. So layer masks and quick masks are very similar in a way, but the difference is This is a lot more forgiving because it has a separate little layer attribute to it. So if I use a brush with a white foreground color, nothing really is going to happen. But once I change this to black to be foreground color, and I'm in the mask layer selected, what it'll start doing now is it'll start deleting those parts of the image. So I can kind of go like this and like that and delete this whole part that I don't want to show, to a point where I kind of went a little overboard on purpose. But you can see how this little black spot represented me hiding those pixels. That's how it's like a mask, right? You put on a mask to hide something, right? Or to reveal is not to have the mask. So how do you reveal? How do I reverse this? By pressing X. X switches the black and the white foreground colors. You see that? So if I press X and I bring the white on the top of the forefront color, and I reduce the brush size with the square brackets by, beside the letter P, there's the 2 square brackets. I'm gonna go to this size and slowly bring back the helicopter in the areas that I see fit. So I'm gonna purposely just paint it in the area that's around the tree, so it looks like it's kind of hiding there, right? That's how you can bring back, because if I keep doing this, it'll bring back the helicopter. If I press X, it'll, oops, B, X, it'll hide, okay? So make sure, if you do this, something's wrong because you obviously made a new layer. So make sure you're in the thumbnail layer. And again, black or white is how you add or subtract from the mask, okay? So that's the main point here I'm trying to make. All right, and if you zoom out, that's how it works. And let's say this file is saved as a Photoshop file, right? You save it as a Photoshop file, and you open it like 2 weeks later or a month later. You can always get this back the way it looks. You can always go back and say, wait a minute, let's bring the helicopter up a little bit. I want it over here, let's say. So what you have to do then is go back to this mask layer, use a brush tool, and just bring back that part of the helicopter. Because see, the layer information is still there. It's not discarded, right? So it's still there. That means you can bring back always parts of the helicopter anytime you choose, as long as you don't rasterize it and throw this away. All right. So I'm gonna press X again and just fix whatever I have to fix. You see? All right. Press X again. I think there was more parts to this. There we go. I knew there was more. All right, so that's how you can use a nice creative way with masking to reveal or showing parts of an image to create a creative composition. Now, let's say you want this helicopter back to what it was. Well, then you can delete the layer mask completely. This is something that the tutorial doesn't talk about, but I'm going to show you anyways. So if you right click, you can delete the layer mask, or you can drag this little thumbnail to the trash can, whichever way you prefer. If you delete the layer mask, it's all back the way it was. So you can always delete the mask and hide the mask at any time. All right, so any questions about this? Because now I'm going to move on to the next example. I'm not going to
Milo.
Hey, hi.
Is the helicopter a smart object?
Good question. And the answer is no, it's not. And the reason why I say it's a good question, because the beauty about smart objects is that you can mask them, and that's how you get the best of both worlds. Why do you keep opening beta for? The best of both worlds means you can use a layer mask on a smart object and it's scalable at the same time. So it's like a win-win in that sense. That means you have a non-destructive layer. So basically this helicopter, oh yeah, it was a smart object, yes. So that means I could have, scale it smaller, bigger, and it won't affect anything. And you can do layer mask on the smart object. But if it's not a smart object, the layer mask will still work. So layer masks work regardless if it's a smart object or not. That answer your question? Good question, by the way. Very good question.
Yep. Thank you.
Very good. You're very welcome. And who was that again? Sorry, who asked me the question? I was too quick to Count it down.
Abdul, yeah.
Abdul, yes. Okay, Abdul. Good. Any other questions? Okay, so now let's move on to the next one. We have a thing here. Okay. So let's go back to our exercises here. Don't save. Photoshop beta. All right, quit the beta. I got it. By default, I gotta remember consciously whenever I open a file, it's gonna open the beta by default. Don't know why, but I'm gonna take it out. All right, let's go ahead and open the next file. This one here is called Mask Reveal. I'm gonna double click on this file here. Again, open with Photoshop 2024. There we go. Donald Trump. Picking on Donald Trump too much. This is, I don't know why. This file I got from my sources here. It was just an example here. It's a funny one though, so I'm gonna use it anyways. Let me just close this document. Open with Photoshop 2024. There we go. All right. So what this file represents is there's a layer mask already added to this file, regardless of who this is. It doesn't matter if it's Donald Trump or any type of politician or actor, any person that you want to transform. You know what's better than Donald Trump? I should have used Arnold Schwarzenegger because he's the real deal when it comes to this stuff, and I'll show you why. Let me just turn off my timeline here. So what's happening is this: you have a picture of a person, and you have a layer mask, and then you have the brush. Well, what happens is when I use the brush tool and I select black as a mask color and I start doing this, you'll see something very, very cool start to happen. I'm actually creating an effect, a special effect from Hollywood as they do in the movies and stuff, right? That's why I said Arnold Schwarzenegger would be better, because that's the Terminator. You guys all know the Terminator. So how is this possible? So this is a creative effect achieved by using a mask method, different than the helicopter, because that one was more for hide and reveal purposes with an effect. This is more like for a special effect, so you can transform someone to look like something else, like the Terminator and other special effects that they use. And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be always Arnold Schwarzenegger. And the reason why this works is because there's a group here, and a group is the layers. So these layers are grouped. If you just right click and group the layers, makes a folder for you. I'm going to teach you groups after as well. And the way the group is, you have a Terminator picture here, superimposed on top of Donald Trump's face here. Okay, so you have the Terminator picture on top of, it could be anyone. I can put my photo or anybody if you want to make it to a Terminator. And the trick is then you have another layer on top of it. So you duplicate the image layer basically, right? Or whatever image layer you have. And you do a layer mask, right? You click down here. So once you add a layer mask, you then use subtract or add to make the Terminator effects. So it'll just reveal parts of the image. Because remember, black, you know, reveals, and white hides the actual pixels. Okay, so that's kind of cool that you can do with images and special effects when it comes to this stuff. But the trick here is aligning these two images properly. So make sure the mask fits the person's face. Perfect time for Halloween right now. You can get your Photoshop masking done without trying on a costume. All right, so that's how this example is demonstrated. I'm going to put this one away as well. Next one is called Fade Mask Fish Frog. I'm going to open that also in Photoshop and show you what this is all about. Masking takes many forms. I've demonstrated the same form in 2 exercises by using a standard brush technique. It's still by far the preferred choice by most professionals, because you can use the brush for you quick masking, layer masking, black and white, add, subtract. You're working with pixels, so you can like get in there and get all the pixels that you want, right? What the heck is this now? After Effects. I apologize. I opened this up by accident. After you guys want to learn After Effects, we'll do motion design. There we go. All right, let's get rid of this toolbar here. This is the other example here of a fish frog. To demonstrate, I'm going to delete this layer because I'm going to do it from scratch because this is already, it's got the effect showing you what the result is. It's another special effect to show you how to amalgamate two images. So basically how to make this frog look like a fish. The joke is, you know, some parts, Lake Ontario used to be bad with radiation and stuff when you can have mutated creatures and animals and stuff. So in this case, we're gonna blend these two together to make like a morphing effect. Okay, now this can be done in two ways. The standard way is to actually go and create a layer mask down here. Okay. Once the layer mask is created, you can use the brush technique as I demonstrated earlier, right? And if you have a brush technique, the thing is with the brush technique, it's too rigid and hard. It's not going to give you that nice seamless blend, right? The trick is if you're using the brush tool technique is to feather the hardness. So the hardness is 92. That's pretty hard. Hard means 100. But if you go down to, let's say, like 0 or even like 10% hardness, and the size, I'm going to make it like 100. Okay, so 100 size, 10% size. What happens now is this. The brush is much softer and easy to blend to the background. So you see you have a nice kind of perfect blend right now. So it works better in conjunction with blending images. Even you can see the feathered result. When I say feathered, I mean the softness of the brush, how it nicely blended my image to the one in the background of it. What's better than this, there's even one better technique for blending. I like to use a gradient method, and this is what's also part of the handout here. So if you look at the fish frog, it's showing you how to use these gradients with the layer mask. Now we're really pushing the envelope in terms of the advanced use of layer masks. But like I said, we only have one semester with Photoshop here, so I got to teach you all the good stuff, right? Now we got After Effects opened up here, guys. There we go. What the heck? I opened the fish frog in After Effects. Great. This is a great tool, by the way. After Effects, it's like they call it Photoshop on steroids. You can do a lot of motion graphic design in After Effects. I'll be honest with you, I haven't used After Effects in years. Not that it's that hard for me to jump back into it, but it's just a whole new software on its own. So maybe if you have a chance to look at it one day, it's not a bad idea. I'm just going to put it away for now. All right, so where I'm going with this is instead of using a brush technique, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this layer mask, right? I'm going to add a new layer mask, okay? Wonder what that does. I've never seen that option before, just to kind of see what it's gonna, if it's gonna do the same thing. All right, so it masks basically the outline. Don't use that, please. It's just too expanded and stuff. So do me a favor, click on this thumbnail, just like that video tutorial. Click on this thumbnail to make the mask, or go to here, layer mask, reveal all, right? So once you make the mask, instead of using a brush technique, as I demonstrated earlier with the softness and stuff, what's one better than that is a gradient. And the gradient is located right here. If you press G on your keyboard, it might take you to the paint bucket by default, but from there you can select the gradient tool. The gradient tool is how you can create a gradient of two colors to begin with. You can do more than two colors. You can do multiple colors. But in this case, we're just going to use a black and white gradient. Think about it. What's better than using a black and a white, you know, paint method to hide and subtract? What gradient does a seamless transition of the two, right? Let me just open up a new document quickly to show you how gradients work. Okay, I'll go to my movie poster. There's my movie poster that I'm designing. I'm going to use a gradient, black and white gradient for the background. So yeah, just click and drag the mouse, and there's my gradients. And if I double click, you can pick a different gradient. You can even go here and pick, I don't know, blues. Let's go to blues. I'll use this fancy blue gradient, and I can then restructure the gradient's position and the gradient's blend just by dragging and dropping. I really like this new gradient tool. It looks like more like Illustrator now, because you can actually go ahead and move these points. You can edit the gradients better than before. Before you have to just go swipe, swipe, swipe back and forth. Pretty cool. I like the update of the gradients. All right, so how do we use the gradients? Why are we using a gradient on this? Because if we use not blue, when you use masks, it's got to be black and white. Okay, so make sure you select the black and the white gradient. So just don't do this fancy stuff until you're doing something else. But for this demonstration, you're going to stick to black and white gradient, because what's going to happen is then you can blend this. Oh, I went the wrong way. Let's go from here, from right to left. What happens is you're blending this layer on top of the one that's underneath it, just like that. And what's more now, with the new added features of the blend, you can extend it, you can shorten it, you can control the way it's dissipating into the other layer, okay, or fading out, I should say. And it's very neat, actually, because before we would go swipe, 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 swipe until we get it right. And that's a really nice way to blend things together. In addition to that, if you click on the layer mask of the gradient and you go, let's just switch it to the brush, you can then take out the parts that you maybe missed. For example, this little part here. I think I went a little too much there. Command Z. I'm just going to stop here and stop over here, right? So just kind of tweaked it. So this is more elaborate now on how to use layer masks with gradients and tools in combination of the two. Okay, so I'm going to put that one away as well. Any questions so far? I'm just going over this handout here, everyone. So right now, I just finished these three. I'm on to the fourth one, and this is going to show you another way to use layer masks with adjustments layers and stuff, okay? All right, so let me just quickly check up on everyone before I go forward. Alrighty. Everyone's good. Okay. So this one's called layer mask adjustment. What this entails is basically we're gonna select the channel mixer. I'm gonna show you how to make a channel mixer gradient, so you know how to do it from scratch, not just following orders and examples. At the bottom of the layer, we're gonna use the layer mask tool. We're gonna do a rectangular marquee. Black foreground color. Okay, yeah, I guess we can use the marquee or we can use the brush just to show you different methods, right? So let's open this in Photoshop 2024, not the beta version as I did before. This is a channel mixer. What a channel mixer is an actual adjustment layer, okay? So an adjustment layer, oops, here it is. Just double click on this here. They added a few more items now. Just change it. I prefer this view as a list view, or a thumbnail view fits it nicer. What adjustment presets or adjustments let you do is do some color correction on the image. This particular one, identifying by the icon, it would be this one here. It's called a channel mixer. So you can mix different colors and channels to preview different parts of the image. Just to demonstrate how this was done, I'm gonna basically double click. Okay, sorry, not double click. I'm just gonna click here on the thumbnail. You don't have to double click. If you just click once, it should give you like the settings for that specific adjustment layer. In this case, it's a channel mixer, which means you can control like the reds, the greens, the blues, because this is an RGB image to show you how channel, these are the channels, red, green, blue, right? So what you're doing is you're mixing the colors and creating a grayscale effect by doing a channel mixer. It's just the thing, right? That's how they did it. The output channel is gray, and the preset is custom because we kind of mocked around with it, right? So that's how this was done. Now to maybe make a new one to show you how to do this from scratch, I'm gonna just delete this. This is what the image originally looks like. So if you go to the adjustments layer, just to show you, these are new, eh? Look, you can do portrait, you can do cinematic. You see how nice some of these effects are, right? Black and white, I can convert. There's more, okay? There's more stuff you can select, right? Landscape stuff. These are all like filters and adjustments that are part of it. So these are the ones how you, forget the presets. These are presets. You want to do this from scratch. So let's say this picture looks bad and we want to control the brightness and contrast. Well, we'll simply click here on the first thing here. If we do this, it creates a brightness and contrast slider. So you can definitely enhance the image's brightness and contrast, right? And this creates a separate layer on top of the image called an adjustment layer. And if you want to keep editing that layer, you just click on it and you can edit it more anytime you want. And this, of course, affects the layer underneath it. Okay, that's how adjustment layers work. And a lot of photographers use it for their photography. Now you have stuff built in on your mobile apps and stuff. I mean, you can do these basic image editing techniques pretty much anywhere. But Photoshop was the original software that had all this stuff. So to keep up with the competition and to always stay on top, Photoshop added more tools as they have new, as the upgrades resume with the software. So to show you the other ones now, like I'm not going to go through all of these, but at some time this is levels, another important one. This one's a good one. This controls the tonal distribution of the black and the white, even the midtones. This is called a histogram. The histogram shows you different parts of the image, okay? Another cool part of this adjustment layer array of things. Curves is getting a little too specific with things, so we don't have to worry about that one. This one is exposure adjustment layer. Again, these are the more fancy ones, okay? So those are the first two that I showed you are the more popular ones. Brightness and contrast and levels. Those, like 90% of the time people use those. These other ones are only if they're necessary or you're getting specific instructions. The hue and saturation is good. This one's good too, because this one controls the color output altogether. This one's another popular one. I think we did this one in the first day when we played around with colors. So that's a popular one also amongst these other adjustment layers that are available. But the one that I'm kind of targeting here is the one that's part of the exercise. It's called the channel mixer. So if I click on that one, you can basically output or just a preset here. Let's do a custom preset. Well, let's do this one, black and white yellow filter. Let's do this one here. Okay, so it's got a black and white yellow filter, and that's going to target my gray channel. And then I can pump out these red and greens and stuff to make my own type of effect. Okay, so this is like going beyond Photoshop's capabilities. You're going right into the channels, and by me targeting this, first I started with the black and white and yellow filter. It's a filter. And I'm outputting the gray. This is how this effect works. Now, in addition to this, watch this. There's a mask added to this. Because if I delete this, I still have the effect. But when you do the adjustment layers, they always add a mask thumbnail, like a layer mask, which means you can control whatever you want to affect on this little mask. So that means I can go to the brush tool, right? Make the brush bigger. And I can go ahead and paint these little sunflowers back to color, okay, like that, and make a really cool effect. You see this on a lot of advertising, like the Yellow Page commercials and some of the movies and stuff, right? So you can do really cool things like this, right? Or you can do what the exercise instructs you to do and do like a marquee selection down here and basically hide part of the image, okay? Or show parts of the image, same kind of thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and undo all this, right? And follow the exercise, and then I'll do maybe half. So I'm selecting half of the image. Okay, I'm gonna go edit, fill, foreground color, which is black. So what's gonna happen is it's gonna show half color and half with adjustment layer. So that's how you can control these adjustment layers in addition to layer masks, as well as controlling some of the information that's being perceived, okay? So this is kind of covering everything in a nutshell, so you understand how layer masks work in combination with adjustment layers, in combination with images and hiding and showing pixels using black and white attributes. So I really like how this comprehensive kind of exercises put this in a very clear perspective on these things. So very popular examples and clearly demonstrated here. Okay. So now before I move on to the next one, I'm going to ask if you have any questions. Maybe we'll give you like a quick 5-minute break, maybe if you guys want to grab a quick break and come back. And then we have one more big exercise left. This is for you to hand in. So if you want to do this with me, this next one, okay, or just watch me do it and do it after, whatever you prefer. This is a good, the reason why I made this an assignment for you to hand in, it's because it covers everything that we've learned so far in terms of the advanced / intermediate parts of Photoshop, like opening files, merging documents, scaling, blending, masking, effects, clipping, which we haven't done yet. I'm going to cover clipping with this, and I'll cover clipping with another example, and saving. So this is an all review, step-by-step exercise, and you're going to hand this in to make sure you participate and you do stuff with me and stuff. So this one you can do in under an hour, like half an hour kind of assignment, okay? And there's all your sources and all your steps are here. Now, technically, I would say just go ahead and do it, but that's unfair. I'd rather show you and take you through the steps because it's kind of tedious with some of these steps that are there. So by me exploring these little tedious steps and showing you what they mean, I'm just going to help you basically. Okay, so that's what I'll do. All right, so then let's grab a quick, 5-minute break and we'll meet back here. Okay, so I'll meet you back here in 5 minutes. Just get ready, stretch your legs, grab some fresh air maybe, clear your eyes, and I'll see you back here. It's 10:35 now. We'll be back here at about 10:40. Okay, so see you soon. And the recording will resume because if I stop it, I'll have 2 videos. I'll just leave it going for 5 minutes. It's fine. So I'll just maybe fast forward if you're watching the video. All right.